Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Guardian newspaper. And the major story here is talking about the off-cycle elections. It's a less than 30% of registered voters will decide Bayelsa Imo Kogi polls. And we have that picture representation there on the front page of the paper. And let me just touch on that. You see, voter turnout for Bayelsa down by 20 points from 36.4% to 16.4%. Kogi dropped by 9 points from 33.6% to 24.6%. And when you look at Imo, it says about over 2 million persons, 2.4 million persons who are expected to turn out to vote. And it's saying with insecurity, low turnout may be experienced. For Bayelsa, about 1 million persons are expected. In Kogi, 1.9 people are expected to turn out to vote. And no election in 38 polling units out of Imo's 4,758 polling units, over zero registration. That is quite worrisome. And to other stories now, federal government to kickstart housing slum development schemes with 100 billion naira. Court confirms authenticity of Enugu governor's NYSC certificate. Now, drawbacks of dollarization of the Nigerian economy. That's the editorial in the papers. Now, Obi hint at recontesting in 2027, canvasses rotational 5-year single term for president. And another story here, terrorist attack, Maulud procession in Katsina, killed 30, injure, kidnap others. A really sad development there. But for more details, you can pick up the Guardian newspaper to find more on those stories. And to the Punch newspaper now, still talking about the off-season polls. Military police vow tough actions for ballot box snatchers, others. Security chiefs warn hoodlums, 67,000 policemen for Kogi, Bayelsa governorship elections. Inspector General, other security calculation centers. Federal government vows transparency. Saraki demands fairness. And we see pictures there of the show of force by the military in Kogi and Bayelsa State. Then soldiers in show of force patrol Kogi, Bayelsa State flashpoints, what I just mentioned. And then court rejects Akeredolu lawmaker's suit against Ayeda Tiwa. Lagos slashes BRT fares by 25% after passengers outcry. 2 die in Canadian embassy fire, Tinubu mourns. Recall that fire happened yesterday at the Canadian embassy in Abuja, where it was said that the fire was caused by their generating set, and 2 persons were said to have died in the cause of that incident. Now, at the top corner, we have INEC delays trial of 197 electoral offenders. 4.3 trillion naira lost to oil theft in 5 years. The government is saying U.S. security advisory needless discourages investors. Federal government is reacting. And to the front page of the Tribune, still talking about the off-cycle election. Gubapo, 40,000 police personnel for Kogi. Inspector General of Police reads Riot Act to perpetrators of violence, visits Bayelsa. We are 90% prepared, INEC is saying. Redeploy Imo Rec, PDP urges. And we also see the picture of the show of force in Kogi and Bayelsa State splashed on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Another story here, Obi Capet, Supreme Court, INEC over 2023 election, presidency, APC kicks. And Appeal Court reserves judgment in Kanu Guba election. Ports and Harbors Bill will promote casualization. Maritime workers are reacting. Release or produce Emefiele, November 8. Court orders EFCC. And at the top corner, court finds NYSC 5 million naira, confirms and bars NYSC certificate authentic. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And quickly, oil workers to get 25,000 naira wage award for 6 months. That's a story you get from there. To the Nation newspaper now, federal government shun terror alert, fear. That's the major story here there. And the presidency tackles will be over attack on Supreme Court. Ex-Anambra governor should find another vocation. And then this story says heavy rainfall coming in Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, 12 others. And then NNPCL explains the allocation claim for NATI's 2021 report. I recall that there's been controversy with regards to that. To the Salient Times now. And the major story here, Supreme Court verdict, presidency, APC knock Obi. And the writers say, this is not the end, Obi tells supporters, proposes 5-year single tenure for presidential office. Obi now castigates judicial verdict he once benefited from. The presidency is saying, inability to differentiate between public opinion and reality, your greatest undoing, APC tells Obi. And another story, protest rocks Abia over sack of Labour Party senator by appeals court. To generator repairmen killed as fire guts Canadian High Commission. A really sad one there. And another story, marking day to pay workers 25,000 naira, pensioners 15,000 naira for 6 months. Now, INEC adds silver to Bayelsa governorship candidates list. An abducted UNTH doctor escapes as kidnappers fall into deep sleep after smoking weed. Some of the stories you still find on the front page of the Salient Times. And this sad story, Mr. Ibu's leg amputated after 7 surgeries. Recall that he had come out to talk about the state of his health, and his leg was amputated to save his life. We hope that he recovers quickly. Come here.
This Nigeria is next. The lead story is captioned, Obi presidency disagree over Supreme Court ruling. The Labour Party candidate is quoted as saying, trust in judiciary undermined, but the federal government insists that his case was watery and unreasonable. Other stories on the front page of This Nigeria, police to deploy 40,000 personnel in Kogi, Gobopol as IGP warns perpetrators of violence in Bayelsa. Also, Ohaneze sues for peace in Imo that will also hold election on Saturday. AFCC defies court order, fails to produce former CBN Governor Emefiele. Don't let Nigeria down. CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, that is, tells troops, and court dismisses certificate forgery claim against Umba, fines NYSC 5 million naira. Finally, on This Nigeria is Nigeria's foreign reserves hit $33.4 billion in October. That's according to the central bank. And on the front page of First News, 2 killed as explosion rocks Canadian High Commission in Abuja. Presidential poll why I didn't step down or work with Atiku. U.S. advisory to citizens can create panic, affect economy. That's according to the federal government in the wake of a call by the United States government for its nationals to avoid certain states in the country. INEC returns former Governor Silva to Bayelsa governor's candidates list. Tinubu, all right, well, that's it on the front page of First News. And to Blueprint now, federal government tackles the U.S. over travel advisory, assures on security and investments, urges media to amplify efforts to secure Nigeria, and plans massive value reorientation campaigns. Other stories on Blueprint. 2023 polls, court cases not won on public opinion. APC slams Obi, who has now vowed to be ready to play opposition role. IDP, rather inspiring one there, internally displaced person bags first class in Edo University, gets automatic employment. And you've up to November the 8th to produce Emefiele, court tells the EFCC. Next is the Nigerian News Direct. As CBN borrowing to banks increases by 466% to 268.3 billion naira. Manufacturers' debt to banks hit 6.98 trillion naira in June. That's from the CBN, while experts raise alarm over banks' liquidity. 2 feared dead as diesel explosion rocks Canadian High Commission in Abuja. Nigeria falls, or the naira, I should say, falls to 1,020 naira to the dollar at parallel market, while the NLNG Train 7 project hits 52 completion. All right, get the details there on from the Nigerian News Direct. Business Day is next. FG's borrowing from CBN still exceeds limit, stands at 4.36 trillion after Buhari's conversion. And there is, more development over what's been called the Dangote BUA spat, which experts are saying calls for stiffer anti-competition rules. Nigeria's mobile money. All right, Business Day, still with Business Day, Nigeria's mobile money agent outlets hit 6-year high, IMF. And for the judiciary, all eyes still on the judiciary, this time around comments by law professor Chidi Odinkalu, who says that the judiciary is no longer the hope of the common man. That's Business Day. Next is leadership. 6 manufacturing firms post 166.3 billion naira losses in 9 months. Presidency Obi on warpath over Supreme Court judgment. And amid the cash crunch, federal government asks Varsities, others to remit 40% revenue as students, lecturers kick, saying deduction is dangerous to system. Schools decline comment on IGR. And the picture story there is the Nigerian Army conducting a show of force ahead of the Kogi governorship election on Monday. FG allays fears over U.S. travel advisory. A sad story up there on the leadership. Terrorists killed 29 farmers, children as well, in Borno, Katsina State, while the courts reserves judgment in Kano governorship appeal. Quickly to Daily Independent. Spotlight on the insurance industry. Experts play down 50 billion naira capital base, take risk-based approach and say firm with 5 billion naira capital base can underwrite 250 billion naira fire risk. U.S. forecasts $100 billion revenue for Nigeria's creative industries by 2030. Tinubu mourns passage of Governor Soludo's father. Expert advances reasons Harmattan weather affects flights in Nigeria. And U.S. travel advisory undermining federal government's effort to attract investment and boost tourism. On the front page of Daily Sun, Boko Haram horror in Borno, Katsina states. Insurgents behead 13 farmers, kill 9 and kidnap others in separate attacks. 1 killed, soldiers missing as gunmen strike in Niger State, burn vehicles conveying foodstuff. Now, UK warns nationals against traveling to Borno, Yobe, Adamo and other states, says terrorist attacks likely. Advisory to hotels needless, the federal government insists in its reaction to the UK embassy. Kalu floors PDP LP APGAD appeal court as supporters jubilate. And South Africa, Chad recall diplomats from Israel as UN leaders demand an end to the Gaza war. Of course, this reaction regarding the Israel-Gaza war is the biggest story on the Daily Trust newspaper, a final paper this morning. Israel, it says, that's according to Daily Trust, kills 10,022 Palestinians in 4 weeks. And there are some more concerning riders. 1 child killed every 10 minutes. That's, more reaction. And Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children. This is from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And 7 countries cut ties with Israel over Gaza genocide. Finally, the last story there on the Daily Trust is Bayelsa governorship election cracks widen in PDP, APC as heavyweights shun rallies. Veronica.
Let's touch on, some stories on the front page. And I would like for us to begin with this really, really sad story on terrorists killing about 30 farmers, children in Katsina and Borno State. Farmers, we have been, there's this story, recall that there was a time some farmers said they couldn't return to their farms because of the attacks, and there was a time where there were reprisals where a number of them were also killed. And it's quite worrisome that we're seeing this happening again, because that happened, I think, 2 years ago or so, and we're seeing this happen again. It's such a sad story.
Very sad indeed. And not good news to be hearing at this time. The situation in the northeast and in several parts of the north is still very worrisome, very, very concerning. And the security troops all have their work cut out. Details of this, are still sketchy at the moment. But, the little we know is enough for everyone to, be more conscious of their roles, even down to, the residents, for people to be conscious. But then the buck also stops on the table of government, whose mandate mainly is, to secure lives and property. And, Daily Sun, captures, so many worrisome riders. Insurgents beheading 13 farmers, kill 9, kidnap others in separate attacks, 1 killed. Soldiers missing as gunmen also go on to strike in Niger State and burn vehicles conveying foodstuff. And like you said, it appears that, there is a target. And that also gives it a very worrying trend. That,
Absolutely.
This is food. This is a basic need. These are people going about their daily livelihoods. If you can, I can't think of any other when it comes to farming, it's one of the noble professions, out there. And
Absolutely.
For many people in the north, that's all they depend on. And, the issue of food crisis is still another basic problem, a major problem of the federal government. And factors include, the insecurity that many farmers face over there in the north, disabling them, so to speak, from, going out to cater not just for themselves, but indeed the country.
Absolutely. And, because these states where we are seeing these activities of insurgents attacking farmers are the states where Nigerians get food item. Look at what is going on in Kogi State, for instance. I mean, Benue State, for instance. They are also facing some of these attacks, and we know they are the food basket of the nation, and we get food items from these people. And recall that the government or the president had declared a state of emergency with regards to food security in the country. And there are reports saying that next year, 2024, some states, including the Federal Capital Territory, will be facing intense food security challenges.
Which boils down to, as experts have said, more households are going to, to go to bed hungry, will have basically nothing. Yesterday, that warning also dropped in the papers, warning of dire consequences in terms of, food insecurity in the land.
And these are the issues. This, we know, this matter of insecurity is one of the aspects, and then we also have matters of climate change also coming into the picture. How government is going to tackle this hydra-headed matter. I don't know how it's going to do that, but it's obvious it's a critical issue as we speak. Farmers being attacked is not healthy for our food security as a country. All right, I guess this here, so we have to move on now.